You found Retire Colorado with Alicia and Josh Lewis. I'm Bruce Steinbrock. Reach out to the Lehman Lewis team, 970-446-1234, or find them on the web at lehmanlewis.com, where you can send them an email, get a copy of their book, Peace Out, Retire Into Your Go-Go Years. Learn about the team. Just generally, hang out and learn more about the team. You're going to learn more about the listeners right now. We've got our mailbag segments, one of our favorites, because we know we have a lot of folks that listen to the show. And, Alicia, that's a lot of people listen for a long time, and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to finally come in. I've been listening to you for 7 years, and now I'm going to come in. But we do love them listening.
It's wild.
And bless your heart if you've tuned in for 7 years. So that's just remarkable.
Sometimes it's just all about timing. We had somebody in last week that had been listening to us for 4 years. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad you're here. Why didn't you call sooner? And he was like, well, it's just, it wasn't the right time.
You
was
said something
probably driving
really
and it's not safe.
I was looking at the Rockies and I didn't want to call. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the mailbag. Right here in Loveland, Ron says, what kind of accounts need beneficiary designations? Because I've heard, varying sorts. I understand about life insurance and those kind of things. And how often should I check and make sure that my beneficiaries are updated?
Oh, man. This is a great question, but I would say all of them. Every single investment that you have needs to have updated beneficiary arrangements.
Well, even bank accounts,
yes,
too.
Yeah, because
everything.
what is
Not
that, a
just
TOD or a P? Isn't it transfer on death that you have on a bank account? Is that right? I remember
Yep.
listening.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you can even get this on your house, which is incredible. A lot of people don't realize this. If you own property or a house, you can
Set up what they would call a beneficiary deed or a TOD, transfer on death
okay.
deed. So 2 Ds on that. But
so it doesn't go through probate. And guess what? You don't have to have a trust to do that. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I need to get a trust. And we're like, okay, time out. Let's talk about that. Not always do you need a trust. And
so who do you get if you've paid off the house, who do you do the transfer of death, whatever, the TOD, who do you get that with?
Yeah, so you can get it with an attorney.
Okay.
Estate planning attorney would do that. And it's not a high cost.
It shouldn't be.
Yes. And we can give you some names of some people that we highly recommend and work with so that, we know that you're not getting price gouged.
Yep. And when to check them, check them early, check them often. Anytime there's a significant life event, grandkids born, divorce, death, anytime there's a significant life change.
Divorce.
Yep. You want to review your beneficiary designations there.
Yeah,
what's
important to, and this is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say with that is that, when we're sitting down with the clients we work with, we're checking over this literally yearly to make sure that everything is up to date and, that it's in proper order so that if and when something happens that it's not a disaster.
Yeah, you can read horror stories on the internet where I remember one. It was in North Carolina. It was years and years and years ago. But there was the guy who really didn't get along with his sister-in-law, and his wife passed before him. And she had signed up. She was a teacher, and when she wasn't married at the time, so her beneficiary designation was to her sister, and they'd never changed that. So when the wife passed away, that account did not go to the husband. It went to the beneficiary designee, which was the sister. And she really didn't like the husband anyway, so she was good with that. And those things happen more often than you would think. But see, Ron just sparked some great conversation. Yeah, no, you cannot. No,
Yeah.
what's on the beneficiary line is that. So, Ron, great question. One that, again, this is the fun of coming in and sitting down with Alicia, Josh, and the team. They get in these discussions with you. What are all the accounts? We don't just need 5 of them. We need all of them so we can look at designations and routinely check those. All right, Nancy in Windsor says, how do I figure out how much I have to take from my retirement accounts? I know you guys talk about required minimum distributions a lot, but I'm not sure how to calculate that and figure out how much exactly I have to take out so that I do it correctly.
Oh, this is a great question. And I think, you know what, a lot of times people think that they have to take required minimum distributions from each individual IRA account that they have. And that's not true, actually. It's you take the grand total of IRA money that you have, and then you do the calculations, which we can help you with if you aren't working with somebody, and you can take it from one IRA account. You don't have to go, divvy it up from all the different accounts.
And not just IRAs, this tax deferred account. So if you have an old 401k and you're not employed, that also qualifies for needing a required minimum distribution. So you want to look at the total sum of all tax deferred accounts in that regard, not just IRAs.
Yep.
Well, and then if you transfer
it's important to know that.
Oh, really important.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say.
That's the thing, too. You don't necessarily. Yeah, let it rip. Go ahead.
There's a little delay or something.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it is. But if somebody passes away and transfers that account, let's say to a grandchild, not a spouse, but a grandchild or a child, they then have that period of RMD that they have to take it, and they could be in their highest earning year. So it really is a decision that you need to put some time and effort to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that once you hit, 73 or here in a little while, age 75, it's something you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. And then just like you said, when you leave those assets to a non-spouse beneficiary, they're also going to have a ticking clock on those required minimum distributions as well. So a lot of considerations that go there.
Well, and if you don't take the RMDs, the penalty is massive. And so making sure that it's done and done timely is really important. We had somebody that we met with for the first time. We were kind of talking about their inherited IRA that they had, and they had it for, was it 5 or 6 years, Josh? And they had never once taken an RMD off of it. And we were like, oh my gosh. So these are some things that, you can really get dinged big time from the IRS if you are not doing it properly. So come chat with us and we'll help you out with that.
Yeah. Right now it's a 25% penalty. It used to be 50 and then you could appeal, but either way, that's a lot of money going in the wrong direction if you don't do it correctly. 970-446-1234 for Lehman Lewis. All right. Thomas in Fort Collins says he's heard you guys talk about inflation on the show before. And he says, do I really need to worry that much about inflation? I feel like it's not going to be that big of a deal when I stop spending as much as I'm spending right now and I get older. What would you say to somebody that comes in and sits down and says, inflation, that's just a bunch of nonsense?
Yeah, this is a great question. And we kind of go through those periods of time where inflation is relatively tame. And then we go through periods of time kind of like now in the last several years where it is not so tame. And I guess the question would be, do you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home? Because really, inflation is the silent killer, right? It's something that if you're not addressing that in your retirement plan over a period of time when it goes unchecked, it's going to be to your detriment. When you look at kind of just the history of inflation, they've tracked it since 1913. So when federal taxes actually became a thing, one of the darkest days of U.S. history. It's 3.26% on average. So you look at that over, a long run over the next 21 years, your $5,000 you're spending a month is now $10,000. So people look at this and kind of say, well, when I get into retirement, I'm going to spend less money. that's kind of a big myth we see with a lot of people, where your expenses don't necessarily drop off because you're not going to work anymore. But also, income sort of represents a lifestyle. And I'm sure it's a lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to during, say your 40 years of working, where you want to maintain that certain level of lifestyle, and income directly correlates to that. So when you look at all of the things that can inflate, even at just that kind of 3.25% rate I mentioned a moment ago, there's a lot of things that are actually going to go up much higher than that, where you look at like healthcare costs and things. So yes, you're going to see regular inflation become a part of your everyday spending, but there's also going to be things that are going to dramatically inflate above and beyond that. So it's absolutely something that you want to account for within your retirement plan. And I think ongoing, it's definitely something you want to look at, of how that's impacting things over a period of time, and incorporate kind of some cost of living increases in your plan over that to help offset that. Because we would hate for somebody to come in and say, gosh, I'm really feeling the pinch with my income because, groceries are so much more expensive, or gasoline, or whatever that might be, because it's never going to be one single thing. It's going to be a mixed bag of a lot of different things gradually increasing, where you're going to start to feel the crunch in your wallet.
And that's why we like to just have a plan for that. The increases, where when people are coming in, we're saying, okay, it's time for that increase. And then it doesn't feel like I'm on this fixed income in retirement. No, you should not be on a fixed income in retirement, because your budget is never going to be fixed. It is always going to be adjusted for inflation. And if it hasn't been, that might be a red flag that you're not working with somebody that's actually taking that into consideration. We want to make sure that the true living retirement plan is giving you increases every single year, so that you're not feeling the pinch, so that you're feeling like, okay, I'm good. I'm living comfortably. I'm not on this like fixed income. Because if that was the case and you're on a fixed income, I would understand that you would feel pinched, because inflation is a real thing. And even if, the price doesn't seem quite as adjusted, I always think of, the peanut butter at the store. That's what I always think of when I think of inflation.
Shrinkflation.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Make the jar smaller. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. That's
It's
exactly
a lot more air in this bag of chips.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Alicia,
It's
you
true.
said something about the red flag. In professional football, the red flag is thrown when the coach wants to challenge the call on the field. So maybe that should be your next book. Throw the red flag. But you can, peace out.
Oh,
retire,
I like
years.
that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we are
Challenge
working on the next
yourself.
book, so you never know.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah. The red flag that you want to throw to challenge yourself to make sure that you're reviewed and ready to go for retirement. So, Thomas, thanks so much for your question. We don't have time for any more, but great questions from the listeners today spawned a lot of ideas and conversation. And that's what you can do with Alicia, Josh, and the team. 970-446-1234. We put a wrap, ribbon, and a bow on the show today. Guys, always great to be with you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Hey,
Thanks, you
as
too.
well.